Okay, so Terminator Dark Fate is the sixth. Is that right? There's Salvation, there's Genesis. Those are no longer valid. So is this like the third film? I guess? What's up, guys, and welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Terminator Dark Fate, the newest film from director Tim Miller. It brings back producer James Cameron, and is the sixth film in the Terminator franchise, but because the fourth and fifth film are kind of shoved out the door, this is actually the third film in the franchise, a continuation of Terminator Judgment Day, and it stars Mackenzie Davis, Natalie Reyes, Gabriel Luna, Linda Hamilton, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger. So to kind of boil down the Terminator franchise is kind of like puzzle solving a Rubik's Cube. There is no rhyme or reason to it. It's turned into like the X-Men franchise, and it's really, really weird. But if they're going to do what they're going to do in this movie, I'm kind of glad that they got rid of Salvation and Genesis or Genesis or whatever you want to call it, which I enjoy those two films. They're not terrible films, but they're not great films. And they actually got rid of the Rise of Machines, which I actually still enjoy, especially that ending. And this film is kind of the continuation of Judgment Day, where it takes the Linda Hamilton character of Sarah Connor, the Arnold Schwarzenegger character of the Terminator, the T-101 or whatever you want to call it, and it thrusts them into a new story. And this story revolves around a young girl who is normal. She's just like, Sarah Connor, just normal everyday woman. And she's being chased by this thing called a Rev 9. And Rev 9 is this like crazy Terminator who is, able to like separate itself and is like almost like a ooze or goo or just some kind of slick oil. And it does some really cool things as you've seen in the trailer. Well, why that's chasing her, we get another character who's another resistance fighter played by Mackenzie Davis, and she is kind of enhanced. Once again, it's in the trailer, so I'm not really spoiling anything. And she's there to protect this, young female. And this is a story about them being chased by the Terminator. It's Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor gets involved. Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-101 or whatever gets involved. And we got ourselves a Terminator film. I'm not going to spoil it too much because it's not, it's a movie people really want to see. The trailers are actually pretty decent. But the question remains, does this movie actually work? And yes and no. It works as a competent Terminator film. We finally got one that actually makes a lot of sense. There are character moments between Sarah Connor and the Terminator that actually gives this film levity, gives it kind of an emotional center, emotional core. And the things that happen are kind of a unique perspective of this franchise. It actually kind of works in that perspective of why Sarah Connor is in this movie and why the Terminator is in this movie. And I kind of love it for that. I kind of love what Tim Miller and David Goyer and Billy Ray are doing in this movie of just taking characters that we love and giving them a new light. It's a really fascinating look at this story, and then it thrusts some new characters in there with new enhancements, a new idea behind the Terminator franchise, and actually kind of works. And that's pretty impressive for something that of a series that is so convoluted, is so weird, had gone so far off the rails that it just didn't make any sense anymore. And this is a way of getting it back on the rails, back in the train moving forward. And I like the fact that, James Cameron really became involved. Yes, he's working on Avatar, but he really has a grasp, and he's actually putting effort into this movie to make it work. And that's really interesting. And Tim Miller, who is, from Blur Studios, who of course did Deadpool, he is a fantastic action director. He knows how to stage stuff, working in Blur Studios, have done a lot of amazing CG work. You can really tell that he knows his shots. He knows what he wants to say. He knows how to say it. And then when the action plays out, it really plays out, and it does a really nice job. And I have to give a lot of credit to Tim Miller for that. I also think Gabriel Luna as the new Terminator, or Rev 9, whatever you want to consider him as, he does a fine job. He's no Robert Patrick. He's no Arnold Schwarzenegger in the original Terminator, but he does his job well. And he's menacing, and he's creative, and the way things are playing out, how the character plays out, how they use the Terminator is really fascinating, but I like it. It doesn't mean it's perfect because there are some leaps of logic in this movie, plot holes aplenty, which don't really make any sense, and that's a problem with these movies outside of the two original movies, which are plot holes in themselves, because the whole future thing and changing the past and all that stuff, it becomes murky, but that's time travel in general, so you can't really fault it for that. But there are some issues with this movie, mainly the leaps of logic, the plot holes. When they happen, they're so forced and so out there. There are times where characters are doing this and characters are doing that and motivations are happening. It becomes too much of a mess. It doesn't mean it's not a good movie, but it just has problems. And I don't know if this was a problem with the projector when I was watching the movie, but if anybody watches this movie in like Dolby Atmos vision or whatever, let me know if the dark scenes, like the night scenes, are as dark as what I saw, because if they are, then they borrowed the crew from Game of Thrones and they filmed this in one of the worst looking night scenes I've ever seen in my entire life. You can't see what's happening. There are points where I'm like so confused, and that's another major problem I have with this movie is the structure sometimes gets a little confusing about where characters are and how they're placed and what they're doing. There are characters that will be there and then they'll kind of like disappear, and it's really weird and kind of off-putting. But outside of that, this movie is definitely one of the better Terminator films. I still would put it behind 1 and 2, maybe 3, because I really do like Rise of the Machines, especially the ending. But this movie does a lot of things. Like I said, Linda Hamilton is still fantastic as Sarah Connor. You can really feel the age behind her eyes and what she is going through. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is back to what you remember him from in the first two movies. Why he's in here is a spoiler, so I'm not going to give it away, but his ideas and how he acts and his emotional center and how his character arc plays out is actually clever. I enjoyed it for that. So, yeah, Terminator Dark Fate is definitely a recommend if you like the Terminator movies. It's definitely, you're going to have a good time. It's not perfect. Never was meant to be perfect. But Tim Miller as a director is definitely competent enough. So, but that's it. That's my take on Terminator Dark Fate, as spoiler free as I can make it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next, and of course comment below on any video that you watch on my channel. Otherwise, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for checking out Movie Emporium. I really appreciate it. If you want to, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification button and the bell at the top. Find out what's coming next for Movie Emporium. Also, check out these two videos. They're amazing. I think they're awesome. I think you'll enjoy them too. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.